Hey everyone, Scott Roberts here with the Project Management Improvement Program. I wanted to give you a quick tour of some new reports that are available. Been working in Power BI to try to bring some useful information to people, and want you to know what's available and how you can contact me for more information. So let's just dive right into it. This is the report. It's in Power BI, and you'll find links to it on the Project Management Improvement Program homepage, also on the PM community site. If you can't find it for some reason, shoot me an email and happy to send it to you. First thing I want you to do is use your whole screen real estate. So up here in the corner is this little arrow button. If you click that, it expands it to use up your whole screen. And that's pretty helpful if you're trying to get some work done and try to find information that you're looking for. It just gives you more real estate to work with. If you notice down at the bottom, there are several tabs: project status, program status, detailed projects, cost variance, and schedule variance. So I'm going to walk through these one by one. They all function fairly similarly, at least the first three do. So this graph doesn't look very helpful, but the first thing you need to do is find the project that you're looking for. And so I'm just going to select some random project here. Let's go down to here, and I'm going to select John Gray. And as you notice, this graph changed. And we also have some projects over here that we can select. So this actually shows some information, and it shows information about these 5 detailed projects, and that corresponds to these 5 over here. Let me just select one of them. All right. So I selected this project, and you notice this screen over here changed to show what this report's showing. But let me break down this graph for you here. This red line is the baseline for the project. Now, the baseline comes from the approved project management plan that was submitted for the project. And if you forget where this data comes from, you could just check out down here. Baseline is project management plan, and all this information is listed down here. This green line are the actual costs for the project. That comes directly from the financial system, PeopleSoft. And this blue line here is the forecasted costs, and this comes from the UI Planner forecast. You notice up here we have a time scale. We could expand or shrink down that time scale to show a different time frame, and the graph will adjust accordingly. So if you have a really long project, you might want to just show a chunk of it. And it'll show you the cumulative total at any point in time. So if I shrink this down to just show 2019, it's not going to start over at 0. It's starting over through March of 2019, and it adds up those actuals. And that's what this is trying to indicate. Total represents lifetime costs. So this is really a lifetime view of the project. So that's from a cost perspective. And then down here we have milestones. So we have baseline, we have the actual or forecast, and we have a variance. So the baseline again comes from the project management plan. The forecast comes from the most recent status report that was submitted for the project. And then we just subtract to find the variance. And it'll color code it yellow, green, or red based on the degree of variance from the project management plan. Over here in this table, we have the documents that are available for the project. So this one has a charter, a project management plan, and a status report. Has the approval date for those, and a link that'll go directly to the document itself. So if I want to see the most recent status report, say, hey, where did these things come from? I want to see this. Just click that link, and it opens it right up, and you can view and read the status report. So more about the filters. This page is filtered to just show project management framework projects. Let's deselect John for a second here. And you can notice it has other project management types. It has IT programs, part of another project. You could select any of those and find information and bring it up. But the most relevant for this view are the project management framework projects. That's why that's pre-selected. I've also turned off complete projects or on hold projects. You can turn those on and they'll be selectable. It's as easy as that. So you just gotta be aware of what you're filtering for. And again, this screen is to select the various projects. So as you select them, they come up with different graphs for the different projects. If you ever get something really messed up and you want to just start back to normal, you hit this reset to default button. And it'll ask you want to reset? And you go, yeah. And now we have that same graph and nothing is selected and you're back to normal. Oh, and one more thing, we have the master project here. So if you wanted to search for just project 8307, you select that, and it's just going to show you 8307. So that's just another way to filter. I think the filters are pretty self-explanatory. You can select by sponsor, by stage, etc. You notice these have PR and PRG at the top. That's because there's some of these projects where they're actually a roll-up of several other projects. So let me try to find one here. I think this is one. I'm going to select Joe. Select this project. And we have actuals and forecasts. But you notice I've only selected one project over here. But it lists five or six over here. That's because Joe's indicated that all of these projects roll up to this one detail project number. So if you have a situation like that where you want to report on one project in one project management plan, in one status report, in one charter, but there's multiple detail projects, all you need to do is email me and I'll make that relationship in the database. Very simple. Great thing about these reports is to update it, you don't do anything different than what you've already done. For updating your baseline, let's get to one where there is a baseline. So I'm going to select Beacus here. And I'm going to select Brace Point. Yeah, there's a baseline there. To update the baseline, either submit a new project management plan if you're rebaselining the project, or change requests. Change requests are submitted to modify the baseline by either delaying or expediting the project, or adding or subtracting scope or cost from the project. And when you do that, there will be a yellow line and a red line, and it'll update the best baseline. To update the actual costs, nothing much you could do about that other than going in PeopleSoft, requesting a journal transfer from cost accounting. Roman is the guy to contact for that. The blue line is your cost forecast and UI planner. Update UI planner, and that gets updated. All these things refresh nightly as well. The milestones come from your status report, so when you submit a new status report, I actually update these manually. The documents, pretty self-explanatory. Email a new document in. All right, the other tabs, program status. So this one's set up to be more useful when you're managing programs. And it does one thing different. You notice this words up here, total constrained within the selected timeline. The timeline shows just 2020. And that's for the purpose of managing programs more on an annual basis. So let me go and select one. So if I select Christie down here and I select the wireline attachments project, you'll notice that these start at 0 basically. So the first month of actuals, actually there's quite a bit of actuals for the first month, but it's not the lifetime actuals. So you see here we have 945,000. If I expand it earlier, it's actually something like 6.9 million at that point. So a lot of costs going on this project, but it's constrained by the time period that you select up here. So you could look at an individual year by itself. You could always expand it to see more, but that's how it's set up. Again, you notice there's a roll up here. So Christy has said that these two projects roll up together as part of one program. So that's the big difference between that project and the project status report. The third one here is detail projects. Again, this has that same behavior that it resets based on the timeline. But instead of selecting the PR numbers or the PRG numbers, you're selecting actual detail projects. So if you really want to know what's in this specific detail project, that one doesn't have any data, here's a good one. You could select it and see exactly what's showing in UI Planner and PeopleSoft for that project. So whereas the first two roll up projects in some cases, this one is straight detail projects as shown in UI Planner and PeopleSoft. Now the last two reports are more for project management framework projects, and they show cost variance. The first one shows the total cost estimate, and that's actuals plus estimate to complete from UI Planner, and they compare it to the baseline amount. If it doesn't have a baseline, it's not showing up in this report. So if you don't have a project management plan, it's not showing up here. One thing to note, 2018 costs prior to 2018 do not show up in actuals here. Remember, we had the PeopleSoft re-implementation, and so the data doesn't translate cleanly. And so a project that has old costs prior to 2018 is going to show up a little low here, depending on how much the costs were. Again, the filters over here, pretty self-explanatory. You could filter just see yellow ones, just see red ones, show them all, sort by any one of these by just clicking on the header. Pretty easy. Last one, schedule variance. So this is an interesting report. It's similar to the cost variance, but it shows a little bit more. So here are all the projects, and you notice some of these are gray and some of these are white. Gray means it's in the past, and white means it's in the future. And again, these are coming from the most recent status report. Now, what I mean by, so if I look at this first project, it looks like, okay, it started, it's initiation, planning, and the next milestone is design completion. So it gives you a really good graphical representation of where the project's at. Not only that, it'll show you the variance from the baseline. So just the 4 milestones, so design, notice proceed, construction complete, and project complete. So if I wanted to sort by project complete variance, I could do that. A lot of those don't have baseline information, so they're going to show up blank. But again, they're color-coded red, yellow, and green based on this legend up here. And you could also filter down to just see what you want. So if I select Nancy Chin, just shows up for Nancy's projects, and she could quickly see where all her projects are at. So that about does it. Oh, I was in the view that was a little bit less useful. So again, expanding it gives you a little more screen real estate to work with. But that's it. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me by email or give me a ring. If you want to preview this or schedule a demo with your group, happy to do that as well. All right, thanks a lot.